Have you ever felt stuck, unsure of how to move forward, knowing you really need to? Have you been meaning to reach out to a friend that you haven't spoken to for a really long time, or have a craft project on the shelf that you need to blow the dust off of? Or maybe there's a course you've been meaning to take. I don't know, but time gets away from us. Life obligations, conflicting priorities, years pass, decades go by. And it's easy to think that some of those big adventures in life have already passed us by. We're all busy, right? Caught in the day-to-day, rinse, repeat, do it over and over again, trying to figure out how to move forward, what that struggle might even be. Sure, it's it's easy to stay comfortable in the familiar, but for me, I knew something had to change. I had to get unstuck. I'd reached a point where I started feeling this deep desire to shake things up in my world. I'm still close to my grown kids, but they've moved on. They've moved further away, and they've got their own adventures happening. And boy, has this added a whole new dimension to my life. And their absence, yes, it's created somewhat of a void, but it also has lent me an opportunity to revisit parts of myself that were kind of tucked away, or maybe even yet to be realized. I'd like to introduce you to a word, ultrea. It's a Spanish word. It means forward and beyond. And it's a word I became familiar with when I recently walked the Camino de Santiago in Spain. It's a pilgrimage that leads to the cathedral in Santiago de Compostela in northern Spain. But before I took that step in my journey of rediscovery, I needed to think about times before that, when I was younger, before family, before kids. And I remembered this. As a teenager, I was fortunate enough to travel in Europe with a friend, and we toured Spain for 6 glorious weeks. And I visited more churches and cathedrals than you could possibly imagine. It was wonderful. And there was a vivid standout. I had been to that cathedral in Santiago. At one point, it was the tallest building in Europe, towering 23 stories high. It was unbelievable. And when you walk in, at the altar are these massive golden angels welcoming you. And it's believed that the remains of the Apostle St. James are encrypted there. I fell in love with Spain. I knew I'd be back, but I had no idea how long it would take to get there. The Camino is a religious pilgrimage. There are routes across Spain, Portugal, France, and beyond, and thousands of pilgrims from all over the world come to Santiago to walk the routes to get to the cathedral. They have different reasons for coming: spiritual, religious, personal reasons, or they just want to make sure they can do the physical challenge of it all. So here I was. Decades go by. Things change in life. Been through careers, moving, marriage, kids. I've experienced great celebrations as well as loss. But now I here was with the opportunity to go back and do it again. But this time, not the way I had before by bus and train. I was going to do it on foot. My reason to walk is I love people. I wanted to meet people from around the globe. And I also wanted to see what experiences the Camino would provide to me. But would I have the courage to do this all by myself? Where would I begin? I had so much to consider. When's the best time to go? What gear do I need? Where do I stay? What shoes do I wear? Honestly, that became an obsession of mine for like 5 months. I tried on multiple shoe brands and sock combinations. It was crazy. I was like Goldilocks trying on shoes instead of beds. And for months, I combed the internet and online forums seeking advice and connections and insights. And finally, I made the decision and I booked my ticket. This was happening. There I am. I decided I was going to walk up the coast of Portugal into Spain on the Portuguese coastal route, littoral route, and spiritual routes. And as I prepared, I made 6 personal promises to myself. And the first one was I wasn't initially going to tell anybody what I was going to do, because I didn't want to have to untell them in case of a life happens moment, or worse yet, that I chickened out. Because I had some major conversations with myself about this journey. There would be no guidebook. I'd leave that behind. Aside from the weight in my backpack, I just didn't want to know what was going to happen. I wanted to embrace the unexpected, and I didn't want to know that there was a killer hill ahead of me. Number 3, headphones were reserved to drown out the snoring in the albergues. And an albergue is like a hostel. I wanted to embrace the sounds around me. I was walking up the coast and I wanted to hear the waves, and I wanted to hear the wind, and I wanted to hear different languages, and I wanted to hear the buzz of traffic in case I had to jump out of the way, which did happen. Number 4, there would be no talk of work or politics. Those topics are so important to me, but this journey, I needed to take a break from those conversations. Number 5, I wanted to avoid bed bugs and blisters. And finally, number 6, I wanted to seek out and would do whatever it took to savor every cafe con leche and chocolate croissant possible. Once confident to start telling people of my adventure, people would say, "Who you going with?" "No one, just me." "You're going by yourself?" "Yep." The big one, "Aren't you afraid?" "Not really." Sure, as time got closer, my anxiety went up. I got really, really nervous, but I knew that the need to move forward totally outweighed any fear that I had. I was going. And the timing was right. And I had put all the appropriate safety measures in place. I put the equivalent of 911 on my phone. I had a GPS tracker so my family knew where I was, and I always had a whistle on my backpack. And if I didn't heed the call to go, then what? Regret? That was not going to happen. And I knew the moment when I stepped on that plane, there was no turning back. This was for real. It was really happening. And I knew that I wasn't going to return the same person, because I knew there were so many incredible experiences going to happen in front of me. I also was so nervous. And despite my heart pounding, I had to believe that everything would unfold the way it was meant to be, and that I would be safe, and that my body would support me. And if all of this worked out, it would be a miracle. And as fate would have it, the first miracle was mere steps on the plane when the middle seat next to me was empty. And you know how we all love when that happens. And the name of the plane was Peaceful. Like, these were true signs and reassurance, and the beginning of many more miracles to come. There's a saying, the Camino provides. And it basically means to allow yourself to be open to whatever comes your way, and be present in every moment and trust that the Camino will provide you with whatever you need on the journey, whether it's food, shelter, companionship, or even the answers to bigger life questions. You will always find what you need. The Camino will take care of you. And with the trusty yellow arrows in the sun to guide me, I found this to be true. Whether it was those who walked the path before me or my sense of inner peace, I always felt safe and I always had what I needed. Whether I walked alone or with other pilgrims, there is an incredible sense of community on the Camino that I feel privileged to have experienced. My first day in Porto, I got my first coffee con leche with another American who was also starting her journey. We toured around Porto, we saw some sights, and we also wondered if we'd ever see each other again. I walked miles of boardwalk with a friend from Slovenia, sharing the absolute stunning beauty of the coastline, while in incredibly deep, heartfelt conversation. Having lunch with 5 gentlemen from Israel who made me laugh so hard I was crying, or it was the British ladies who sang happy birthday to me as we trekked up this really big hill in the rain, whoa. And sharing a paella with my Camino sister from Croatia as we celebrated crossing into Spain. One of my fondest memories was when I got lost. I was walking with a Spanish friend, and we got seriously off track. We ended up in the most magical forest with the smell of eucalyptus that filled our lungs like a good dose of VapoRub. It was incredible, and we had views that literally brought us to tears. We hadn't seen a pilgrim or an arrow for a really long time. The sun was beginning to set, and we knew we had to make tracks, we had to get where we needed to go. We cut through acres and acres of cornfields and ended up in this little cafe that had an ice-cold beer, soccer on TV, and the best hamburger I ever had in my entire life. The Camino provides. And it was a joyous, wonderful, delightful treat after a really long day. You know, some steps you really have to take. They may take you out of the way, you may get lost, but you're always going to end up where you're meant to be. All these people and notable others became my Camino family. I succeeded in meeting people from all over the globe. We shared a transformational journey, pushing our physical and emotional selves with unwavering support for one another. Yes, there were many days when I walked alone, but I never, ever felt alone. Even if I couldn't see them, there was a pilgrim somewhere nearby. And the yellow arrows, my constant, reliable companions that always lent a sense of security. So, after 13 days and over 200 miles of walking, I arrived in Santiago to the cathedral where I'd been many, many years before. It was just as spectacular as I remembered it to be. And when you go open the doors and go inside, it didn't matter where you were from, what language you speak, what you do or don't believe. Pilgrims are celebrated, and those massive golden angels welcome you with open arms. When pilgrims arrive from all the different routes, it's a constant state of celebration. Hugs, tears, photos, never-ending smiles. I spent hours in the square watching all of the pilgrims come in and celebrate. Such intense joy. Each individual's story was so unique to its own, and it was such an honor to bear witness to everyone's triumphs. Walking the Camino was everything I'd hoped for and more. I trusted the journey. I embraced the unexpected. And I took the smallest steps, no matter how challenging they were, all 455,000 of them. I know not everyone can walk the Camino, but everyone has the opportunity to step out of their familiar and let miracles happen. So what's your Camino? Is it blowing the dust off the craft project or signing up for the course? Big or small, it really doesn't matter. Give yourself the permission to chase the dream and follow your own arrows. So to all of you, Altrea, may you see and move beyond what you ever thought possible. May you find joy in pushing your limits and exploring new horizons. And may you always find the courage to take the step forward. And I can happily share, I never got bed bugs or blisters.